Today's Debunking the Myth deals with the benefits of soaking up the sun's rays. Joe has the facts on why laying out in the sun is not all that bad for your health. And Joe, this is welcome news for me, who I love the sun, but I've been real careful lately to put sunscreen on me. But what do you think about that? What is the deal?
Well, our Debunking the Myth segment has become a good news segment for so many people because we tell them things. Today's myth, laying out in the sun is bad for your health. Today's Debunking the Myth, that is false. Laying out in the sun can help boost your immune system, help eliminate depression, increase your bone density, and even decrease your odds for cancer. That's how healthy laying out in the sun is.
But in moderation, right?
Well, what you want to do is this, Shirley. First of all, I see no reason for sunscreen unless if you're doing something like you're out on a boat and you're out on the water and you can't, you're right, you can't control. That's a different story. That's where, because the chemicals in sunscreen are something to be dealt with.
Really? Okay,
yes.
we have to have a show on. In fact, I want to have a show on all the stuff we put on us and what's in there.
A topical show, we'll call it.
Yeah, topical show, yeah.
And so, but when you're laying out in the sun, it's it's really common sense, but this is what you do. First of all, the closer you are to noon, the less time you would lay out, okay?
Sure.
And you'd never want to lay out more than 20 minutes without taking a break, going inside.
Okay.
Anytime, look at your skin, feel your skin.
Yeah.
If it feels warmer than your hand, that means your skin is now exceeding 98.6. This is exceeding your body temperature.
Okay.
And it's time for you to go in because you don't want that skin to burn.
And obviously, a person with your coloring could probably stay out a little longer than I could because I burn easily.
Back to common sense.
Yeah, common sense.
The other thing is, you can just kind of put your finger down on your skin. When you do that, when you release your finger, if it stays white for anything more than a second or two, you are starting to burn, and it's time to go.
Well, would a dermatologist agree with you, or is this really controversial? Because they tell you always cover yourself, slather yourself with sunscreen, and never let yourself be exposed.
If they did agree with me, there's no way they would say it, especially on air, because all the money that they paid for their education told them to sell sunscreen, whether that's what they were told to or not.
Or stay out of the sun.
Or wear
hats,
stay
whatever.
Stay out of the sun. And I do think that advice to the public has helped increase a lot of different illnesses, including depression.
Of course, we have a rise in skin cancer, but I think that's mainly due to the ozone layer thing.
Yeah, and I think so. Anybody could tell you, with common sense, you turn your skin to leather, you're increasing your odds for disease. Exactly. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, we have a question here. We have actually an email question from John in Pasadena, California, and he asks, "What are the causes of kidney stones, and are there preventative medications?" Well, let's direct that question to our resident MD, Dr. Walt Larimore. Here's Dr. Walt.
Well, kidney stones can be one of the most painful conditions that a man or a woman can have. In fact, in my practice, my female patients who have both delivered babies and have had kidney stones say, kidney stones hurt worse. What causes them? There are a plethora of causes. There can be a whole slew of causes, and you cannot tell in an individual person usually unless you have that kidney stone evaluated. So in my patients, we collect the kidney stones, and when we can, send them off to a lab, and by finding out what they're made of, we then know A, what causes them, and B, what you can do to prevent them. But the prevention of kidney stones depends upon the cause, and the cause has to be evaluated either by testing the stone or doing some fancy urine tests.
Well, I learned something. I didn't realize that you could send the kidney stone off and find out then what caused it.
Oh, yeah. Well, in most cases, they can cause it. They could even maybe tell what's causing it before you pass it by ultrasound.
Wow.
I kind of snicker at his expression of a fancy urine test. I don't know, compared to plain Jane urine test. I'm not sure how that plays out. But what we want to take away from this, I think, Shirley, as far as kidney stones goes, is that here's one of the calls for making sure you drink plenty of water a day.
Yes.
It's another inexpensive, simple implementation to our daily health that makes a major difference.
And the other thing is, I know, for instance, Tums that have calcium, if you eat too much of them for antacid problem, as an antacid, you can have problems. My daughter had a lot of problems in her pregnancy with, upset stomach with acid, as is very common with pregnancy, and she got a kidney stone after she had the baby, and I think it was from all that she ate. So we have to just use common sense.
Well, when people go to tln.com, they can click on the Kylia link, and we can show them a natural way that's supposed to help pass a kidney stone by drinking some lemon juice and laying on your side. And we've had it work for some people. We've had it not work for some people, but it's worth. We have another.
It's worth a try.
A viewer question. Show you. This one is an anonymous email from a viewer in Michigan. Those Michigan people, they just never want to give their
Never
name
want to
out.
give their name.
Gosh. They write, is it true that eating sugar like candy, pop, cookies, etc., prevents you from getting over a cold? Well, let's direct that question to our resident MD, Dr. Walt Larimore. Look forward to this answer here.
Boy, do I wish that I could tell you that eating candy or sugar prevented colds, but it doesn't. It may cause obesity, but it doesn't help prevent colds or treat colds whatsoever. Boy, do I wish it did. Actually, most of the research on chocolate is funded by Hershey's or Mars. Isn't that interesting? I mean, they pour tons into research.
I love Dr. Walt. He's great. But I actually think he misunderstood the question, because the question actually was eating candy and things like that, will it prevent you from getting over a cold? And Dr. Walt said, will it prevent colds, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I took the question the same way you did, was that basically does eating candy and sugar make you more susceptible to getting
Or
ill?
keeping it longer.
And, you know, the conventional medical profession, if you will, would tell you that there's no connection there. I think that's absolutely false. Sugar absolutely, in my mind and in research, unequivocally impairs the immune system.
Exactly.
And here's why. It makes your red blood cells, when your glucose levels are higher than they should be, your red blood cells your white blood cells, are spending time doing things other than helping to fight infection.
Right.
So while you can't prove that directly in a blood test, you can empirically see that if your white blood cell activity is compromised, then your immune situation is compromised.
It makes sense. And so basically, if you're sick, you really need to eat healthy stuff. Stay away from sweets, even more so than usual.
Big time.
Yeah.
When you are ill, sugar is something that you should, sugar and refined carbohydrates and dairy, those three things, sugar, refined carbohydrates, and dairy are three things you should absolutely avoid.
But when you're sick, you want to reward yourself with chocolate.
Reward yourself with chicken soup. It really works.
Okay.
Well, for a copy of today's show, or any show, call 888-242-9393. Now, coming up, a board-certified orthopedic surgeon from Dreyer Medical Clinic is here to answer some questions on joint replacement issues and joint replacement questions of the day. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.